It's by truckers for truckers. This is the Channel 19 Experience. Let's hit the road.
All right. This week on the podcast, we've got another Minnesotan. We're on a string here. We've got a pattern. Ryan Carraux joins the show from D&E Transport. Welcome, Ryan. Great to have you.
Thank you. Yeah, good to be here.
Well, Ryan, you're my first operations person to join the show. We've had a bunch of truck drivers, we've had industry people, technology people, but I think you're the first one to come from the operations floor. And so now I've got a cohort we can talk a little smack about Little Brother Trucker, Mike and Danger Dave and other truckers, so we can collaborate on that front.
We can gather the pitchforks afterwards.
Yeah. And then we can change our names and addresses quick before they find us.
Here we go.
Ryan, great to have you. Why don't you give, just to kick us off, with a little bit of introduction on your background and how you got started in trucking?
Yeah. So my background's at UPS, worked in the hub and in and out of that kind of operation with drivers, employees alike. And really, it was just about getting your hands dirty, right? So that's what we're doing now. More or less, obviously, the keyboard's pretty clean in the dispatch office, but we'd like to think we're kind of fighting the fight with you guys, with the drivers and such, to make ends meet, make a living, make a good living for the family, be successful, and at the end of the day, just load the truck and get it empty. So been UPS, I was there about 12 years, and now at D&E, it'll be 5 years actually this year.
Okay. So and with the D&E, what's your role now?
So currently now, just fleet management, dispatch, or you could title it whatever you'd like. Talking to the drivers, picking freight up that pays worth everyone's time and makes sense to get reloads and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, basically just boots on the floor in the operation dispatch.
And do you guys break it up by a group of trucks that you work with, or do you have like regions, or how do you guys do it?
Yeah, so we kind of do it a little differently than most. It's set up basically in areas for customers to start with. That's kind of where building the relationship with them too is important to maintain, to have that connection, to be able to get more freight options and such. So we're kind of scattered I'm out east primarily, but everyone's got different quadrants, so to speak, throughout the country. And then there's lots of gray areas with that. And I can assure you, there's not a time that if everyone's covered out east, I get to kick back and relax, because we're all kind of jumping in to help out with whatever area. If there's all of a sudden an influx in trucks in Texas and we need some freight, so we'll all jump in and help everywhere. But yeah, pretty much, like I said, divvied up between the country and quadrants, more or less.
Gotcha. So the owner operators, they pop into your region, they're delivering load. You understand the customer base, got the relationship with the customers, and understand the freight and the patterns, and you're looking to get them moved on to whichever direction they're headed to next.
Yeah. Well, and kind of knowing the drivers, right? I mean, there's 120 of them, all with unique characteristics and personalities. And some guys, you don't blame them. They don't like to go out east. They'll go out west. They have preferences, just like anyone would. So really trying to hone in on that to match it up with what the customer's needs, right? Because just because John doesn't want to go out east, but the customer has 3 loads going out east, it doesn't always work out. So you're kind of always playing that chess game with maneuver and stuff around to the best of your abilities. So
yeah, lots of Lego pieces. Not all of them make the shapes you want on every given day.
Oh, no, it's definitely fluid, but that is the fun part. I mean, more or less, whether you like it or not, it is a challenge, but it definitely is very rewarding when you can make the plans come together for both parties too, which I'd like to say we do more times than not. But yeah, it's fun for sure.
Yeah. So what's it been like out there lately? Freight. I mean,
it's tough. I mean, it has. Everyone's working twice as many hours for less pay, and honestly, it's been about that for, I think we're going on 3 years now.
Yeah.
There's a lot of variables with that coming off COVID peak with freight rates and stuff. I mean, as much as everyone loved it, no one can deny the fact that some of those rates were kind of outlandish as far as what the normal market would have done even before that. But this dip now, and people aren't even comparing it to 2008 these days. They're saying it's worse. because of how it's been. And it has. I mean, fuel prices continue to go up. Customers don't want to pay anything. And I don't even say customers because there's a lot of them that don't, but brokers really dove into a lot of that market at that time. And now they've somehow successfully held on to some of those rates and obviously still have to make their percentage. And so it still drives the rates down generally, then going to the carrier and to the driver. But our core customer base, I will say, is pretty good. I mean, we have pretty high paying customer freight that we maintained over the years and continue to do so, which kind of helps give us a leg up. So we don't have to hopefully go to as much brokered freight, but you got to connect the dots too. And if you can load a guy over to point B because your customer is paying $6 a mile and it gets the guy home and it's the perfect storm, that's what we're always looking at in the office, trying to play the chess game.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and you see it, right? We saw the big influx and all the broker authorities that got spun up over that couple year span, and then the unwinding of the same the same number of
Oh,
brokers
even
falling off, right? As the good times were over and it just became cutthroat.
right, even the owner operators. We had plenty of stories of which they've obviously moved on in some regard, but there's I we had plenty of owner operators that were accountants before COVID, and they saw the COVID freight increase and said, "Oh, I want to be a trucker." And so they go get their CDL and think they can hang with everyone, and that maybe is good, but it definitely there was an influx then in drivers too with the amount of freight that all of a sudden just dropped off. So I think it hit hard on both ends with the rates just washing out a little bit from the peak of COVID stuff and also just the amount of drivers that thought, let me get in the game kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's been a weird job market when you look outside of, let's say, the truck driver market ever since COVID, right? I mean, COVID was a huge curveball for just about everybody. And then it
Mhm.
was a bunch of reactions to it as we realized it wasn't going to go away quickly and this wasn't a 1 month problem.
Right.
And then it's been a matter of unwinding a bunch of weird stuff that probably didn't make a heck of a lot of sense. And if you subtracted the government money from the equation, what didn't make any sense. And it takes a while to unwind it.
Yep. Exactly. And then too, just equipment, right? I mean, I guess that's a whole another topic, but you got with all the emissions stuff these days and parts, all that kind of plays into to everything there with just lack of basically people being able to work on the trucks. The shops are short staffed and all that.
Yeah, and the rates are still high on a labor side. Parts are higher than they were. I mean, I think that's probably the
Yeah.
biggest one of the biggest heartburns for the guys running the trucks is just the cost of everything. Even I think ATRI came out with one of their annual surveys on operational costs of running trucks, and it was once you subtract out any fuel fluctuations, it just got down to tires and all the other stuff that is less variable than fuel costs. It's significantly up again this year over last year, another 5% or so on the cost
Right.
side. So it's just the squeeze is continues to put pressure on people.
Yep. And you got to be kind of savvy to work on your own rig and be able to change out a couple fuses every so often just to not run the bill up, which, yeah, hopefully, that people continue to learn that kind of stuff because there is a lot of, and maybe that's a good thing too, but there's a lot of drivers out there that just don't have that knowledge and end up going under because of it, which it's tough to manage that overhead and with the rates and with the fuel and just again all the variables, right? So
Yeah, for sure. So what kind of fun do you get into over at the office there with these drivers? I can only imagine having heard of Mile Marker Mike and Danger Dave's running around.
the easier bunch. No, it's I mean it's I mean it's all good. Really, when a new driver comes on, we definitely take the time to get to know them. We're always trying to call ahead to drivers and see when their days are going to be at and how's your day going. And we get some guys that are just so used to from other companies that just call in and, hey, this is truck 234. What's your name, man? Who are you? And so you can kind of break the ice a little bit and build those relationships up. But as far as fun goes with the drivers, I mean, we have tons of fun. I would say. I mean, we try to throw jokes in there as much as we can, but obviously we got a job to do to get them loaded and where they need to be when they need to be there and when the customer needs the freight. So it's just again playing that chess game. But we definitely try to incorporate the fun side of it. We even with just dispatchers amongst ourselves, cracking jokes and inside jokes and all that kind of stuff. I mean, it's all to keep the mood light as much as you can because it is a stressful job when you got a customer breathing down your neck because you've missed pickup appointment times 3 weeks in a row and they're threatening to cut off your freight options. And you got Billy over there who's trying his damnedest and you don't really want to bash him in because of how his week's been going, breakdowns, whatever's happening. So it's definitely finding that balance and perspective of everyone to kind of, again, make it work for both parties.
Yeah. And I mean, you think about it, right? Any relationship you have, whether it's friends, whether it's a spouse, like the hardest conversations are usually around like real life problems and money. And when you're running a trucking company, especially when you've got owner operators, it's always about money, right? There's other trade-offs, but the trade-off always on the one side of it has money as part of the equation, right? Whether that's dealing with people's
Right.
breakdowns, dealing with which load do you want to take, taking a load and finding yourself in a spot where the freight coming out doesn't pay as good. Like
Yeah.
it's it always has the potential to be a stressful conversation as
Yep.
the person on the other end of the phone is weighing their options and their realities and their obligations and everything, and
Right.
especially in
With
tough times like
business and
now.
personal, right? With business and personal. And just because maybe they did okay on the freight doesn't mean maybe their personal life's going great. Their doctor appointments and bills and just everything a normal person has to deal with. And you got to do it on the road too. So it's definitely a lot to deal with at times for sure. For both, for everyone.
Yeah, it's funny. I was Last week I read a little story by it was posted by a former truck driver. His friend had written it, and it was written by a trucker's wife. And this was back in the previous era, kind of like when I grew up, maybe talking more about the 80s and 90s, where the truck driver, you could hide a little bit more, right? When I started out, if you didn't want to be found, you could disappear for days and weeks. Nobody'd know where you were,
Right.
without cell phones and things like that, and satellite tracking devices or ELDs. But now, yes, it's great. The communication's there, but it is a double-edged sword. People can find you with problems from home too, and
Right.
that weighs on people's minds. The stress of what's going on at home that you can't really do much about other than be a voice on the other end of the phone. That it just adds into the overall environment of being a modern day trucker.
Definitely a different time. Yeah, like you had mentioned, even with the ELDs, it just you got sometimes forced to run because your clock you only got so many hours. It's during the week, and if you're not feeling up for it, but your clock is going, then you kind of got to go, which questions the safety part of it on both sides. So definitely a slippery slope when you look at that perspective.
Yeah, for sure. Well, one thing I wanted to ask you about, because we're running through this etiquette series, it's laying out some various areas where maybe etiquette is degraded a little bit in trucking. Some of the various behaviors, whether that's at the fuel island or in the parking lot or on the highway. But I think one area is that etiquette also still matters quite a bit is just in that interpersonal dealings with one another, right? The
Yeah.
conversations that go on between operations. And I mean, all departments in trucking, but you guys in operations talk to the truck drivers the most.
Yep.
Wanted to get your thoughts on that, like the interesting parts about communicating with a variety of people, but also the commonality that they're owner operators, that they're business owners and truckers as well.
Right. Right. Yeah. I mean, that's yeah, absolutely. It's, you question even outside the trucking world these days with just regular people's etiquette at the grocery store. Um,
Right?
that's a whole nother topic. So kind of staying on track with that. But yeah, it's just about building the relationship. But like I had mentioned, just not caring I don't really care what truck number you're in or what color truck you drive or what your hours are. It's what are you working with? We ask the questions to kind of get into the mind of the driver because it matters. We've had occurrences where, drivers have been felt like they've needed to push so hard to jeopardize safety and other things because they felt the pressure from dispatch. And so we have always tried to take a step back and really think about how we talk to the drivers as much as we can. I mean, human emotions do take over on both sides, but really just trying to talk to them like a person. It's really just about building the relationship. And, there's plenty of drivers that know I like to play video games on the side, and we talk turkey with some of that kind of stuff, or just how's your day going? And, oh, you sound sick. What's going on? Sorry to hear that. Like just those
Yeah.
personable questions that goes a long way. So we treat that pretty highly. It'd have to be a very special occurrence for us to ever really get upset. We try to understand it. I mean, obviously, we're pressured too with customers and stuff in the dispatch office, but truly our intentions are to voice the driver's perspective to the customers and try to get them to understand what the dealing is with too. So we take that to heart. We do, at least at D&E, to try to, like I said, make them feel a part of the family, feel welcome, feel like they can actually call when they do have a problem. Some people don't even want to call their dispatcher with an issue because they're like, oh God, just he's going to be pissed as soon as I tell him what happened. And some of them do feel bad, which great. I'm glad you feel bad. Sometimes you can't really do anything about what's out on the road and the variables you got to deal with, and road construction and all the stuff that goes into getting freight from point A to point B. There's a lot of it. So we take
Yeah.
it to heart for the etiquette part. And yeah, I can only imagine, and you hear the stories, but of just all of a sudden a guy lost his crank because we run all Conestogas.
Mhm.
They'll steal the cranks out of the back flap and stuff. And then the guy's got to go waste his day going 100 miles out of route just to go get this special crank because some of them have that in different areas. So it's unfortunate. And that's, again, that dives into my whole tangent of what's wrong with humanity in general guard, but that's a bigger topic.
Yeah. Yeah, it is the list of things that can go wrong in in a day in trucking. It can be long. And well, we dealt with one thing, so that's going to be it for today. Like usually it
Right.
doesn't. It can go 5, 10 deep on things that go wrong right
Yeah.
in a row and really test
Of
people's
course.
patience.
Yeah. And that's the load there's a crane waiting on the other side. Right. So then you get
Yeah.
the dispatcher's stress levels and the driver's stress because he's trying to get over there and he's doing everything he can. And that's why I think you can't take it super seriously. Easier said than done. Don't get me wrong. These are people's livelihood, right? To make deliveries and do it safely, to not get claims and all the extra charges because they just had a $2,000 shop bill. The last thing they need is a claim from something getting wet or unsecured improperly or whatever. So it's definitely a fine balance.
I mean, it's funny now because I've been out from behind the wheel for 11 years now or so. Maybe a little more. But anyway, I'm in meetings or somebody's frustrated, a customer's upset, or whatever the normal office job, non-trucking, and people are like, "How are you so calm?" And I'm like, "This is nothing." Like for the screaming customers and trucking, mad truck drivers at me because some plan didn't go wrong, didn't go right, and I'm like, the frequency that I've got upset people talking to me in my ear in a way that it feels like it's the 1970s or something all over again is way less frequent around here than
Right.
around
Right.
the trucking business. So I can handle this level. This is a 2 out of 10
Right.
compared to some of the situations in trucking.
Absolutely. Yeah. Some of those and they can even get worse. Like you said, if you're on issue 6 for the day, it's pretty exhausting and daunting to try to see the light at the end of the tunnel until you can hit the sleeper. So
Yeah, and you don't know, right? It's not like I mean, you have interactions because you're working with truckers who are not under the same roof or in the same building as you, but you've also got coworkers. So you got both dynamics, the people you can see the look on their face and the other people that you can't, right?
right.
And it's a little easier to tell with people who you're sitting across from if this is a 2 out of 10 day or a pretty good day. It can be hard to gauge that on the other end of the phone at times.
Yep. Exactly. You don't know that the guy just spent the last 6 hours trying to switch some hoses out and some clamps just to stop the water leak or whatever. And that was his 10-hour break. It's like, okay, that sucks.
Yep. Yeah, for sure. It's one of the weird things about trucking, I think. We spend so much time on the issues, right? It feels like the jobs are more issue management because
Yeah.
you're spending 90% of your time on 3% of the things that pop up out of the 100 loads that you're going to haul today. You invest so much time and energy in dealing with the five that are went off the rails somehow, whether it was a breakdown, whether it was the shipper was late, the crane didn't show up, or whatever the case might be. But we tend to forget about the 95 times it went right every day, and thank God that it did. If it would only
Right.
been 85 that day, I think everybody loses their mind. Um,
Right.
so we just tend to not celebrate as much as the actual success that goes on in this business. We all just take it for granted and go, wow, look at that. Every place I went today, there was stuff in the stores and people were able to do their jobs thanks to a crap load of truckers and the people behind the scenes orchestrating the truckers together for the world to go round.
Right. Right. And we try to celebrate that in the office. I mean, again, it's kind of I think both sides, right, are at times a thankless job. But we have plenty of guys that will hands down say, you guys are the best. Thank you so much. We appreciate your hard work. We get a lot of kudos too, which makes you feel good at the end of the day. So we try to return all of that as much as possible. And it is good to hear the wins, right? Because like
Yeah.
you said, there can be so many variables and so many problems. Yeah, you do forget that, well, the last five were pretty good. And we got one crap one. Hopefully we can pick it up from there. And then you get some guys that just get five duds in a row. And so then it feels like the world's out to get you too. So you got to take that in mind as well, working with everyone.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I talked to Dave a couple weeks back after his adventures, just trying to get up to Western New York there. I think he was headed to Buffalo or somewhere in that area with that load from down south and just the
Sure.
trials and tribulations sometimes that like just getting, can we just make it 50
Right.
more miles and get this over with? And
Just
sometimes
feel
the
good
answer
when
is
it's done,
no,
man.
not yet, buddy.
Right. Right. Yeah, it's tough to balance that and stay motivated, right? To keep going, and hey, you get the same feeling in dispatch sometimes. It's I can't tell you how many days when there's just no freight to tell anyone about, and you've called on all 70 lows that are on the board and got the same stupid answer that they can't do any more money and it's BS, but you kind of just have to keep trying. All right. It's just all about putting in the effort, I think. And at least at the end of the day, you can say you tried, even if it is unsuccessful, because I do think we are more successful than not. And that's because we try. You can't really give up.
I was operations manager for a big fleet and had a bunch of customer service, bunch of fleet managers working under me. And the one thing you can control is, or it's a choice, is what your attitude is about it. You know,
Right.
there's going to be days like that. Hell, there's going to be months like that, right? In trucking with the way these cycles go. And it's funny because, when the up cycle goes, like it's just a different kind of crazy, right? Now we're crazy dealing with all the freight that people are trying, our customers that
Right.
we've got us through the bottom. And we want to make sure that they're there for when they're still our customers and we service them as best we can the next time we go through tough times together because they were good partners on their end of the deal. You're trying to service them as best you can and you just got a lot of moving parts and it's just trucking is just always a challenge. It
Right.
almost never sits at that nice equilibrium of we got just the right amount of freight and just the amount of guys who
It,
are,
it, it
got
does
working
just
trucks.
enough for you to notice it, just for you to say, huh, this is all right, this is going good. And then, yeah, something throws a curveball at you and you got to adjust. And again, that's the fun part of it, I'd say, because
Yeah.
it is the moving parts and because we get jazzed up too when we can put together a 9, 12, $15,000 load for a guy to go cross country. I mean, that's exciting to us
Yeah.
too. Um, to make all those pieces work too. As much effort as they got to put into it. I mean, we did the effort too to make the plan come together, and it's a collaboration of both. So
Well, I think that's if we were to call up Mike and Dave right now and ask them why are they with you guys, it's that, right? That you guys get excited and care about putting that package together on that load as much as it matters to them to do it too, right? And what it means to their family and their financial situations. And I think that's one thing that has always been a reputation of D&E is just that kind of mutual hustle for a win
Yep.
that matters to everybody.
Right. And we're all motivated off all the drivers making more money. So it's set up in a way that they make more money, we make more money personally, right? So we are very incentivized to really stack it up. We're in the game just as much as they are with it.
Yeah, that's cool. And it helps people feel like it's not just a phone call from somebody collecting a paycheck. Somebody cares on the other end too. They want to win with you.
Yeah, you don't want to hear the guy that says, whatever happens, I'm going home at this time and I'll still get my paycheck next Friday kind of thing. That doesn't usually sit too well.
No, not one bit. No, and that's where communication. I've had a bunch of those coaching sessions with people on my team on the ops floor over the years because if you've never done it, it's hard to imagine it. Or if you, and especially like new kids coming out of supply chain school at some university and they've never even really, even if they've been working as a fleet manager, kind of a trainee or dispatcher, planner, customer service, like you don't really think about it, right? Even though there's trucks everywhere you go. If I look out my window to the north towards I-10, like I'm gonna see 50 of them go by in the next minute. You don't think about what's really going on in that truck that we had a lot of young people who didn't understand like how offensive that mindset could be to someone who's like, I got nowhere else to go. Like when Dave's talking about his truck breaking down and his oil pressure being at zero. The parts he didn't say was, well, it's also hot as hell in Tennessee right now, and it's humid, and I'm not only just thinking about what am I going to do with this truck, I'm thinking about where the heck am I going to sleep tonight, and
Right.
how
I
the hell
didn't
am I going to
shower
pay my
today.
bills next month? And
Right. Exactly. Just all the overlapping elements for sure.
yeah, and that's also why it can be a big deal about getting home when you think you're going to get home. Because your mind is looking forward to that sense of relief that the truck is parked in a safe spot. It's at my house or wherever I park it. It's empty, likely, and not loaded. The amount of internal pressure just
But
shrinks rapidly when that home happens. Like it's not quite the same thing as when you're not a trucker and you're just like, okay, I'm going home because I went home yesterday at 5 and I'm going home maybe today at
right.
5:15 or 5:30 because I got some extra things to button up. There's not that I haven't been home in 3 weeks. Jesus, I'm just dying to shut things off mentally on that side of my brain and let it
Mhm.
go.
And that's something I think we try to do a good job at, but we are also very, like I said, motivated with making everyone money. But you forget the guy that just wants to land, like you said, land home empty. Our goal sometimes for a lot of people are to load them through the house.
Yeah.
Hey, we can go drop off, do your 34, and scoop back out. But like you said, I mean, I'm glad you said it because it doesn't always click. I think in the dispatch office as much as it should maybe to what they're saying. So we do try to listen because that is important and try to ask, do you want to the house, through the house, and hopefully because of the relationships we built, most of the guys can be honest with us instead of having to make up some I got a dentist appointment. I can't miss it. And we're all like, what the hell? It's just a dentist appointment, right? You're gonna pass up 3 grand. But the guy just wants to go the hell home.
Yeah.
I've been out 3 weeks. I'm tired. I'm ready to just not have to worry about anything on my deck. Park the truck, like you said, in a safe spot, and sit on the couch in my boxers and eat Cheetos and play video games. That's what I want to go do. It's definitely trying to keep that mindset in mind when we're offering freight, making decisions, and coming up with plans for these guys too, for sure.
Yeah, and truckers are funny creatures. And I know because, I was one and I was a funny creature too. And I fell into some of the patterns that it took me getting outside the cab, getting in an ops floor and seeing other truckers behave, and then going, yeah, I remember being that person myself too. And I think one of the examples that I mean by that is sometimes we can be our own worst enemy as truckers, right? And make decisions and go, I really want to. Yes, hell yes. I'm going out for 3 weeks, or I'm gonna go stay out for another week, even though the plan was only 2 weeks. And sometimes it takes a little wisdom by somebody on the outside going, I think it might be time for you to run through the house. Like
Right.
sometimes you can't see it in yourself when you're behind the cab. And yes, you got bills to pay and you're always trying to get ahead because you never know when the next shoe's going to drop on a mechanical problem or tires or whatever. But sometimes you need a little help managing yourself, even if no matter how much you want to be the person in charge of all
Right.
the decisions.
Well, and just to give yourself that break because
Yeah.
everyone needs it. You really, it's tough, right? Because you do feel like, well, I can't be sitting around here because at least I guess your mind's off from thinking about maybe some of the other problems you're still dealing with, financial issues or whatever they might be. And so you feel like the option only is to stay moving, but maybe you'd stay moving a little more efficiently if you took 3 days to yourself to kind of collect right your thoughts and your things and just what you got going on. So again, I think a lot of that's easier said than done because
Yeah.
when you're in that mode, you do get tunnel vision because you're trying to survive. It's your livelihood, your family's livelihood, children, putting them through college, building a new house, whatever we got going on, or just saving for that fun toy. And maybe, that again, to your point, worst enemy. There's plenty of guys out there that maybe, shouldn't go drop 30 grand on a new Harley. Maybe we should put an account together to save just in case the truck breaks down, you can stay moving and stay afloat instead of add that extra stress layer 2 months down the road. And I get giddy too to go
Yep.
after some new fun toys, but yeah, it's definitely just trying to manage yourself, which you can shoot yourself in the foot pretty easy though.
Yeah, you can. And I'm guilty of almost all of those things, right? Whether it was staying out too long or buying a bigger toy than I had any right, but some goofy banker gave me the money to do it. So what the hell?
Yep.
I'll
I
just
got a
go
purchase.
chase it down, right? But it sounds good until you realize in order to chase it down, I'm gonna have to be out here for 5 weeks to get
Right.
ahead a little
Is
bit.
that worth it? And then
Yeah.
you're thinking about it, and then you get down to 2 weeks and oh
Yep.
crap, here's crunch time, payments coming, and I had 2 really crappy weeks and a couple days downtime and a wrecker come out and get me out of a job site. And again, just the thousands of variables. But I not to encourage bad behavior. I mean, you got to live a little bit too. Like, I
Yeah.
mean, there is a
Sometimes
sense
that's
of
the
that.
reason that gets you going. There's sometimes I look and go, I probably just did that because I needed a reason to wake up in the morning and kind of re-up the choice in my mind of, yeah, I'm going to keep doing that for a living because I need the money. And sometimes I got to blow a little money to put a little ether on the equation
Sure. Yep.
and get it moving.
Stay motivated.
Yeah. I mean,
I don't have a choice now. This Harley ain't gonna pay itself.
yep, it's here. They ain't taking it back. And if I sell it, it's worth 60% of what I paid a month ago.
Right.
So
Right.
I guess we're
I
going to
don't have a
work.
choice.
The choice has
Yep.
been made.
Yep. Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a fun dynamic.
For sure.
Well, I got to ask you because you know both of these guys,
Yeah.
given their track records, if you had one load and it really had to be there and it couldn't break down, which horse are you putting your money on? You putting it on Danger Dave not to break down or Mile Marker Mike not to break down? Because they both have quite a track record of.
Well, I hate to say it, but unfortunately, Mike's first return load back with D&E, he broke down
That's
out in
right.
Utah.
Yep.
So I think we're gonna have to go with Dave on this one
Even
for the.
recent history notwithstanding, huh? You're gonna roll with Dave.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a bad first impression. It's unfortunate it went that way, but I'm sure it can all be redeemed,
That's right.
And what we always try to do then is for guys like that, we always try to get two of them. That way they can both be happy. That's the goal.
There you go. They're both heroes in their own mind.
Yes, you got to be. You got to be.
Some days you do. Well, cool, man. It was great to meet you. I'm so
Yeah,
happy I got to jump on the phone with you. Don't be a stranger, you know.
absolutely.
And if we get some funny trucking stories about any of these characters on the show, you got to make sure to share them so we can make fun of them
We'll
worldwide.
do.
Don't let
Yes.
any of their mistakes go unbroadcast. Let's get them out there for the world to share and
So we
getting
can
a
pull up
chuckle out of them.
some fun stuff on Motive, some dash cams, and all that good stuff.
There you go. Yeah, Michael, he thought it was funny. Hey, we're gonna do a podcast. That'll be fun until I realized like everything he's ever sent me on the phone, and I've saved it all, and I've just been creating a stockpile of embarrassing moments for when I run out of other material. So,
You have it dated, I'm assuming, just so you can recall it, right? It's that large of a
oh yeah,
inventory.
yeah, pictures he sends like, oh, look what happened today when I plugged up the freeway because I didn't read my permit and I ended up stuck in a 13 13 wide clearance with a 14 wide load.
Yeah, that's the good part, though. You get to learn from the experiences, right?
Yes, if once you get past the immediate fear of what might happen, the shame of what you've done, and you can move on to the lesson that you've learned, there's a pot of gold at all these end of these rainbows.
Absolutely.
Well, thanks, Ryan, man. Great
Yeah.
talking to you. Have
Thanks
a
for
great
having me.
night.
Yeah. It's been great. Yeah, you too.